Let's build Queen Watevra Wa'Nabi and her subjects. So let's talk about the Lego movies. Now, I absolutely adored watching the original Lego movie in the cinema back in 2014, and to this day I'd class it as one of my favourite comfort films to watch. I love the art style, the animation, the very look of the film where everything felt like it was shot using stop motion. I remember when the first film was announced, many people thought it was just going to be a feature-length advert for Lego sets. And in a way, it kind of was, since it's Lego. It still managed to tell a fun and engaging story though. As I mentioned before, I like the feel of how it looked like it was made using stop motion. Particularly, I liked how they made the characters move like minifigures in real life. And while there were a few times where those rules were broken, it was few and far between, so it didn't really bother me. It was nice to see that the environments in the film were completely made out of Lego bricks as well. From the canyon in the old Wild West, the water around Metalbeard's ship, to the lava in the opening sequence. A few years later, there were news of two other Lego movies that were set to be released in 2017, a Lego Batman movie and a Lego Ninjago movie. At first I wasn't interested in either of them, as I'm not a huge fan of Batman as a character, and I didn't know much about Ninjago. In fact, the only Ninjago thing I knew about was that it had character packs for Lego Dimensions. When trailers and clips came out for the Lego Batman film, I began to be a bit more intrigued. Why was King Kong there? Why are the Paradigm Daleks there? I waited for the film to be released on DVD so I could watch it, and I'm glad that my initial thoughts of it being just a Batman film was wrong. It was once again a massively enjoyable experience. It was nice to see all the characters from the Phantom Zone and going, "Hey, I know you," to all the characters that I recognised. Even if the film didn't have the cameos, I'd say the story was still definitely engaging. I think one of my favourite gags from the whole film was how everyone firing a weapon would go pew pew. It was a nice touch and reinforces that it's taking place in some kid's head. When it came to the Ninjago movie, I wanted to keep an open mind. I had just watched the previous film that came out that year, so I thought maybe this film could not only hold up with the others, but it would also work as a nice introduction to the world of Ninjago. When I finally got round to watching it, I was disappointed. For me, it felt very hollow, particularly in the comedy, as most of the time the film would repeat either clips or voice lines. This was also the film where the stop motion aspect I enjoyed from the first film started to fade, as arms and heads of the characters would move around a little bit more freely, like arms would raise as if they're raising a shoulder, their heads would tilt far more than before. It wasn't until watching it years later where I would find some things to enjoy, but out of all of them, the Lego Ninjago movie is one of my least favourites. Now, when it came to the Lego Movie 2, I wanted it to be good, especially after watching the Lego Ninjago movie. When the trailers released, I was interested as to what the story was going to entail, as a good chunk of the trailers took place in what would later be known as Apocalypseburg. I remember being a bit sceptical after finding out the film was going to be a musical, but when they released clips that included a couple of the songs, the scepticism faded slightly. I never got round to watching it in the cinema, as at the time I was at university and I had a lot of coursework to do. It wasn't until lockdown in 2020 I bought the film and watched it. I did find it to be a good watch after the Ninjago movie, however I don't think it quite captured the feel of the first film. There were times where the stop motion feel from the first film wasn't achieved properly, as there were many times where the characters would look like 3D models instead of a physical minifigure. It also felt like the main part of the story was somewhat a rehashing of the first film, where Emmett's different and all the other characters want him to change, but then they change their minds towards the end of the film. But I'd still say it's an enjoyable watch. And we are done. Apologies for the ramble about the Lego films. Now, as for the set itself, I do like it, but my god, it's big. I'm sure you've clocked that it's been hard for me to keep all the builds in the frame, but I have to say, these are quite good recreations of the characters from the film. Also, this is my first set with mini dolls, and I have to say, I'm not a fan of them. For me, they feel a little bit flimsy in comparison to the minifigs. That said, if you prefer the mini dolls over the minifigs, then I'm glad you find enjoyment out of them. I think I'm going to leave that there. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to see the previous Let's Builds, the playlist is on screen now. Today's music pick, we have Systar System from the Lego Movie 2, the second part. If you have enjoyed and want to see more, then click subscribe. And with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. Bye!